Hello, my name's Carl. I'm going to introduce you to Carl's Bible Power. When you first open it up, you'll see that the page looks a little small. So what I do on my computer, I just hit the Control plus sign, and up in the right corner you can see I bring it up to 150%. It may be different on your computer, but that's what fits best on mine. It'll ask if you want me to lead you in a short prayer or a song before you start your Bible study, or your Bible reading, or whatever you were going to do with this program. I'm going to click not this time. This opens me up to the front box right now, but I am going to go to the links just to show you what this is. This is a bunch of different links. You can go to different places in the game. This is both a game and a study tool. It plays different games. There's just some stuff throughout the beginning of the program, some informational stuff. And then over here some games, and over here's the Bible baseball game. So now that we got that, let me just scroll down a little bit more. I'm actually running this right now in Chrome, but you can also run it in Microsoft Edge and Microsoft Internet Explorer. If I have any updates to this program, there'll be a message from the web right here. It says connected but no web messages, so there's nothing there. There's a bunch of keyboard shortcut commands. This is good for you to learn because it'll help you get through the program a whole lot faster. The go-to ones are the main ones that you're going to use. That would be these over here. And that's what I'm going to be doing right now. The first place I'm going to take you is to the search box. Now, this has a start over button. This resets the search box to whatever your defaults are. You can set your defaults with the personal settings. I'm not going to go over this search box too much, but it does use regular expressions. And whenever you are in a dialogue, you can see how you can roll the mouse over different things. Oh, I got to close that one. That's just a separate dialogue. Or you can focus on them and you'll get some information. And there's some examples too. If you want to conduct the search, you just click on the examples and it'll help you out that way to learn how to use this program. This program will also search references. So you can look for like John or specific references. You can also search in your notes. It has a place for recent searches, so I can click on this and I can scroll up and down. I'm using the arrow keys to move the drop down because as a drop down here, this will continually add, and if you wanted to cut your list shorter, you can do the most 50 recent ones if you like, but it shows you different things. If I go down to the end, I had the date formatted a little different back in 2012. Then you can load the inputs. That's if you want to make a little change in it, or you can load and search right away. It tells you the number of search results that you'll get from it. This also has red text matching. So I'm going to show you this acronym tool. When I had gotten an email, pretty much like this one, had John 3:16 laid out, and Valentine was up and down in the middle. It's inside the verse. So to get an acronym like that, I would just click on the get acronym. It's going to build the regular expression that's needed to get this acronym. And this is a very complex regular expression. So I'm only going to be searching the book of John for these. It could take a little while to search like the whole Bible. And then when I click search, it brings it up here. And it found 43 just in the book of John. This is not John 3:16 as what we had there. And you can actually, you don't even have to use these specific letters. So like here's an E here, but it could be this E for the end of Valentine. And because those letters were in parentheses when I did the search, they're underlined. The matches that are in parentheses are underlined. Now from here, I can save my search results into different lists. This Bible program runs on different lists, so you can save them into different lists. Each list does different things. You have a clipboard that's generally used for if you're playing a game, you can have an auto clip which will append the wrong answers that you get to the clipboard, so you can go back and study them later or use them to play a different game. Some of the games are meant for memorization, some are meant to have fun. Okay, let's go to our first search result. And here's the font size. I could change the font size on this. Click go in case I want to need bigger font size. And if I make it too big and it doesn't fit on the screen, it'll shrink it. It will make it smaller so it'll fit. There's topics also. Right here it says topics. And I can click on the topics and there's all these different things. This goes pretty much by word matching. So John 1:51, verily, verily, I say unto you. I don't know, somewhere in there's probably a match, maybe like a 3-letter word match that'll fit this. You can look up context for this verse. And this actually is on top of that. And here you can also, the TP is for topics. So you can get topics on all these different verses that has topics. If you hold the mouse over, this says it has 3. And that'll bring the topics back up. You can append to the clipboard. You can put it in a phrase maker. The phrase maker tool is interesting because it will take your word the verse that we just had. You can choose how many word phrases you want. There's the help dialog up here tells you things about the phrases. So if you had 5 phrases or 6 phrases, it tells you how many phrases will be rejected if you filter out the common phrases. And it'll tell you how many other phrases that you have. Oops, I've got to select that. So you can choose how many words you want in a phrase when you do a phrase search. So I'm going to put this down to 8. And I'm going to click that phrase, and I'm going to ignore the common phrases. Nothing to search with. Okay, so all the common phrases are out of there. There is no like 8-word phrases. So just let's stick it back to 4 and say to get the phrase. Now it throws in here a regular expression, which puts in the phrases, the ones that aren't popular because I filtered it. And then I can click and then I'll see phrases in my search results. This is an append, which I can use to append if I want to append them to my search results or not. So let's go now to the Bible reader. The Bible reader is something similar to the search reader, except we have here a daily Bible reader, a color. This is our help checkbox, so you can see everything's changing. It's giving you different help files for everything. This here is your phrase maker. This one is sequential, and this is compare. You also have notes in here. If you wanted to type notes for a specific verse, we can go to this verse just by clicking here, and we'll type some notes in here. And as soon as I take the mouse away, that note will stay. So I'm going to put test. Okay, so I blurred, I left it. I'm going to change my verse and go back to it, and it's there. So I don't want that test there, so I'll just take it out. And it's gone. This will let me have these numbers here just for different lines, like how much space I want for my notes to be in. So each one is 1 line. It has an auto scroll, which means, let me set this back to Genesis. 1:1, and we'll go. And I have a reader here. So this can actually read to me. Genesis. And down the bottom here, we have our In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. We have our audio dialogue. And the earth we can pause it. Form and void. And this here's for speed control. Was upon the face of the deep, so listen to the speed. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, I talk a little slow, so maybe it's better there. I can adjust the volume. I can mute it. And I can close. I can click this. It'll clear the playlist and stop playing immediately. And the darkness he called night. I can uncheck that, and it'll stop reading. But I also have a compare. So if like I was going through the parables or something, or a few different verses, I can click on compare. I've got a few things in here already, just random. And up in this left corner, it says assign Genesis 1:5 to section. And it has 1, 2, 3, 4, and an O. Okay. If I don't want to assign it, I don't have to. I can click the O. But if I want to assign it, 4 is open, so I can sign it. Or I can assign it to 1, and it'll replace this one with number 1, with the Genesis 1:5. So well, I'm just going to replace that one. And you can see it replaced it. Genesis 1:5 is now here. And now this says active. So my active verse is Genesis 1:5. I can click on any of these and make that verse active. And what's the purpose of making it active? I can come over here, click on this A, and this will append it to this selected verse list. This C will let me take that verse and throw it also into Bible Compare. So if I see like I want to compare verses 5 with like 16, I can put 5 in this one and put 16 down in 4. This X will give me context. And this here will put me into the phrase maker. So I can select the verse and say, put this in the phrase maker. Let's do a search. This here will show me topics that I have for the selected verse. So if I wanted to find topics for verse 8, I would do this, and it would show up like that. This plus will let me add new topics. So if I want to say, oh, let me click this one, then add a topic, click this one, add a topic, click over here, add other topics. This one here will remove all Bible compare list sections. It clears out everything. So then I won't have any anymore. And this just closes out the dialogue. So now you understand the Bible reader. We have a daily Bible reading. We have Bible bookmarks. You can do different things with your bookmarks. And we have a history list. So when you go to the Bible from somewhere else, it'll throw in a history for you so you know you went there, and it makes it easier to find. You just click on this button and it'll put you there. This is a sequential thing. So I can click on sequential 1, and I'll go to 2, and let's see, what's my next verse? I want to go to, let's say, Deuteronomy 24:15. I put myself there, and I click sequential 2, and then it's searched. I'm here at Genesis 1:1, where my first one was. And then if I go to the end, and I have 5541, so I'm going to just type in 5540. And then I can go to 1, go over more. So that gives me all my verses. And that's Deuteronomy 24:15, where I told it to stop. So I have the whole section of the scriptures right in this one section. So I don't have to do it's a different type of search. So it lets you do stuff for like a Bible study. If you wanted to search a specific verse, it doesn't have to be this big. Maybe you just want Genesis 1, 2, and 3 or something, and you can do that. Now, let's go to the font box, because the font box has a whole bunch of stuff in here. I'm going to go over so quick with you because there's so much, and I'm got to make this short. This is your font face here. You can select different font faces, and here's a sample as you want to go through this. And this will be the font face that you use for your printed layouts or your Bible reader or search reader. This is what will appear. So here's Algerian. Now if I go to the Bible reader, it's Algerian. Back to the font box. Okay, so I generally keep it on Verdana. They say that's supposed to be good for like reading off of a computer, but if you wanted to do something for printing, you might want to get something that puts a line under it. Let's see if we have something. Yeah, this one here, you can see how it has like little lines under the M instead of just being just a straight down thing. That like puts a line underneath the line, so it like simulates a line to make it easier for your eyes to follow when you print. So this one doesn't have it, so see how the M just comes straight down. So now we got in here, well, you can choose your font size too. So if you want it small, this is just for your print layouts when you're printing search results in the print layout. And I generally keep it around 32 because I like 32. You have padding as a little extra space around that the table cells. You have your border. You can go up to 25 with your border. Just something to note. Now you have your notes. So you can see how we can say no notes, just the notes. We put lines after the notes. And this one here is for whether you want your notes on the top or the bottom. So the notes appear above the verse or below the verse. This is your lists. So which list do you maybe you saved it to list 1, or list 2, or list 3, or list 4, or maybe you saved it to the clipboard. Normally it's the search results. If you're doing a quiz and you want to fill in blanks, you can fill in blanks. This one here will give you tougher questions. So like things like and, but, they won't ever be questions, all the popular words. Random, when you're doing a search, you have 3 quizzes blanks for the quiz right now. This will put in maybe 3, maybe 2, maybe 1, but it'll go up to 3. And it'll limit your number of questions to 25. But you can change that if you wanted to have a 200 question quiz. Maybe it's college, right? But we have different page layouts. This is for searches. And you can see, as I'm going to go through these pretty quick. So you can just see kind of how it lays out. You don't have to have your notes included in here, though I'm showing some notes. This one here doesn't have the verses, just has references. This one here is your Bible-like headings. It starts out with like your Genesis 1 up here, and then down here it lists all your verses. And when you get to Genesis 2, it'll put another heading in the top. When you are doing this, you can also check this. Well, if you uncheck this random, it won't put the verse numbers in. And Microsoft Edge has a neat tool where if we had printed out the entire Bible, you could tell it to read the web page, and it'll start Genesis 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Now, if you include the extra verses, it'll be reading the verse numbers all the time too. And usually people don't do that. They just want to hear the chapter that they're on. And Edge also has a highlighter, so it'll highlight the verses that the line that it's on, that it's reading when you're doing that. The next one down is responsive reading. This would be more for pastors. The pastor would read one, and the congregation would read all. When you're doing a quiz, you can, well, you're selecting how many blanks you want in each question. This one here puts the answers underneath the verse, the reference button, but they're spelled backwards, so it's a little more difficult. This one here gives you a separate answer sheet, but it also gives you the reference. And this one here takes the reference away from you, so you don't even know what verse you're looking at. Make it a little more challenging. The references are on the answer sheet. This one here is flashcards. So like if you print this out, you can be up in front of the class or something and flash them out for your students. And you probably don't want to use a border when you're doing this one. And this one here is make your own quiz. This one actually, when you see this, when you start to do this, you would double click on a word and it'll change it to a blank like this one. And you'll have a little number 1 right up at the top corner there with a blank. So this word here would be number 1 in your answer. And then here's number 2, number 3, number 4, 5, and 6. But you can also click on a word here, then go back here, and 1 will be here and 2 will be here. So you have to be careful that you're choosing. That's why they're numbered for you. And that's it for the quizzes. We have an editable verse list. This is good for when you're doing Bible studies, because now you can type in your notes in each one and you can read it, go through all these buttons here. When you see a button in your printed screens, you can click on that and it'll take you to the Bible reader right to that verse. You can have a phrase maker tool here. You can see your topics, context, and you can throw them in to compare if you want to. You can also append them to a selected list. Right up here, this one's selected to clipboard. This is an enable and a disable button, and we also have an enable and a disable button here. This here is for verse order. So if you want to change the order that the verses appear in, you can use these. That's a little difficult. If you have too many, it'll just be a checkbox for removing them. Sometimes it's easier just to change the order by appending to a blank list and just switch it up that way. And then you can also append it more than once and it can appear twice in the same list. So these enable and disable buttons will enable and disable these different controls here. And the reason for that is when you're tabbing through, you'll tab onto the button, then you can tab onto this, and you tab onto the next button, and you tab onto the next notes. But if you had these enabled, you would be tabbing from here to here to here to here, and just to get through all that takes a little bit more time. But this is really good for doing Bible studies, so you can keep that in mind. Next thing we have is well, we'll go with the word search. The word search is a really neat game. This gives you general information right now. Just use the down arrow. This is a simple game, and you can see heaven right on the top right away. It's spelled backwards, but all the dots are things that would be blank. There was no letter to cover that space. All the letters you see there are letters that are used for the words, and that is an easy puzzle. If you look right here, it says game level is easy. Here are the words that you would be looking for. This is the next page that you would get. You don't have to give the people the next page. You can give them this quiz. So what they need to do then is answer the quiz. And when they get the answers on the quiz, then they go back to the puzzle and they try to find the word in there. This is like something really good for like a church picnic. If you wanted to have like groups of people working together at a church picnic, and the puzzle size can change. It doesn't have to be like the small one. This here is an answer sheet for the puzzle. If you look carefully, right in here, you can see a number. This is the reference. It's for crossed and down. And then you'll find one of these letters, and that's created. You also get this map. So I blew this one up here, created 1 6 2 6 3 6 4 6 5 6 6 6 7 6. So you come down 6 and 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So it's all there. There's different size puzzles. Am I on this one? Yeah. There's different size puzzles. So we have a 26 by 26. The maximum number of words, it's not really the maximum, it's recommended. If you go more than that, it may not do it, may have a hard time finding a place to put all the words that it's trying to look for, and it'll just stop on you. Then there's a 20 by 20, a 15 by 15, and a 10 by 10. So you can choose any one of them. There are different difficulty levels. We have easy, normal, difficult, and frustrating. There's a time limit. Sometimes it takes a while for it to put the puzzle together. So in 5 minutes, it'll just stop. The hint, if you want this checked, that'll give you your game puzzle board map, and the XY chords. And here's the number of words that'll it's recommended for. So if I change this to like you can see how if I change this and it changes it to the default, the recommended amount, so you don't have to do all that extra work if you want to just keep the recommended settings. Okay, that's the basically with the word search. We have a text box quiz game. I do not have a picture of that here, but it works basically the same way as the fill in the blank quiz, except for this one will give you text boxes to fill in and then a button at the bottom you can check your answers. If you get it right, you will get a certificate. And there's a match game. This works with it will sort the verses, but the references will not be sorted. So when you're playing this game, you have to match the reference up with the verse. So you see a verse and which is the reference, and it puts them all on a drop-down list, and you select the right one. And then at the end of the game, you click to see if you got your right answers, and if you did, you will get a certificate. And the same is also true with the challenge reference game. The only difference is the challenge reference game does not give you a drop-down. You have to type all those answers in. Now there's also other games that this plays. We have the Bible baseball game. Well, you know what? There's other things I can go over too. If you want to save one of your verse lists to Excel, you can just click on here and select your list and do it. If you wanted to, okay, I'm not going to go over this saving the games. Verse list options for search. You may use this from time to time. This opens up this dialog. You can sort things in Bible order. So sometimes, like if you append separate different lists to it, it'll throw it out of order. Or if you shuffle it, you'll get them out of order. You can remove duplicates because sometimes when you append, you can get duplicates in there. And you can make it a quick click, which means you'll just go to, it'll just throw it into the search engine and search for all your verses over again. The one thing about this, they won't be duplicated and they will be in Bible order. You can clear a list. If you wanted to clear your list, you can do that. You can also do appends and overwrites. So what you would do, you would select one of these, sort it in Bible order, and then come down here and select which list you want to do. And it'll ask you if that's what you really want to do. If you wanted to append something, like here's your bookmark verses, you can append 23 bookmarks. So it'll let you append them. So you can append different lists like that. Okay, well that pretty much will be that for that. Next thing we need to do, we need to see the game. So I'm going to go up to the links. I'm going to click on the Hangman settings. I'm not going to play these games with you. I'm just going to go over them real quick. This is where you fill in the dialogue for playing. Select your time. How fast can you read? That gives you time to read the verse before the ticker starts counting your 10 seconds to guess a letter. You would put your name in player 1 and somebody else's name in player 2. You actually have to activate this from the font box. So let me go back to the font box. Up here would be your baseball, your hangman, your challenge hangman, challenge game, and the letter swap. Those games you need to activate from the font box, and it'll tell the game what list you want to use. So let me go back to these settings. Here's a computer grade skill. So you can tell the computer how smart you want it to be if you're going to play against the computer. But when I'm playing this game, I just click on one of these letters, or I can use the keyboard. And these are all uppercase letters, so it makes it easier this way. This is Challenge Hangman. I enter my name here, player 1, and then this one has to be a human player. I select the time to guess each letter. This does not give me any time to read, so you want to select a little extra. And then you click Add the Player. And then you want to add another player. You can put another name in here. And then that one will let you put a computer grade in. You can play with as many players as you want in this game. And the computer can be every player except for number 1. And then when you're done, you add all my player. I added all my players and I'm ready to play. Down here, this one's different because this one uses upper and lowercase letters, so it makes it a little more challenging. And then we have the baseball game. This is directions for the baseball game. And here's where you can put in your teams. You don't have to fill all these in, maybe just one of them. And you can select your time limit for reading the verse and typing your letters. You're typing your answers. Fast animation, do you want a hint? A hint will throw in a couple letters of the first word. Auto clip is off. So like if you want to auto clip on, you could clip it on. And that will, all the wrong answers you get will go to the clipboard for either team. And then this is your scoreboard. This is the playing field. So you would select your how many bases you want to hit. If you wanted one base, you'll have to fill in one word. If you wanted more than one base, you would have to fill in more than one word and leave a space in between it. So one word, that would be a 2-word. That would be 3-word. And that would be a home run if it was right. And then you can watch them run the bases and stuff. So that's pretty good. Now let me go back to the font box. Now let me go back to the font box. And so I went over baseball, hangman, challenge, hangman. Then there's challenge. Challenge is actually a memorization tool. It'll help you to memorize the Bible. It's just basically like reading the Bible, and then some blanks start to appear, and then some more blanks start to appear, and you're just reading the same verse over and over and over again until you actually have it memorized. But if you wanted to do another thing, you could do it with using the keyboard to type in the words, which requires a little more work. Letter swap is a different kind of game. Let's go to challenge. There's 3 different games actually in this. Click about, and we see down here we have a Bible challenge, Bible reader. These are the 3 different games that you can play. The challenge memorizer. And I'm not going to go too much into this game right now. So let me go back to the font box, and we're going to go to letter swap. Letter swap's another game that's pretty neat. And actually I can start this one. You have a time limit too. So if you wanted to time yourself, give yourself only a certain amount of time, it could get a little tough on some of the verses. But this is Genesis 1:1, I think. So I would just click on like one of these orange ones and say in. And I wouldn't know until I actually get it done if I'm doing this correctly. But you can see, like, here's the word the, and this is the, so I'm change this to an H. That one's going to change also, and this one changed to an H. And then change this one to an E, and then all these others are going to change to an E also. And this will be a B for beginning, and that's a G. This will be an I, and this will be a capital G for God. O, D, created, which is lowercase c, lowercase r, and a lowercase a. The heaven, that would be a V. And now it's correct and like changed green. In the beginning, God created the heaven. It reads it to me too. Okay, so I just went over that with you. I would click the next button if I wanted to do the next verse. Okay, let's go over the management box right now. Management box is very important when you're using Karl's Bible Power and you've made some changes in your settings, your notes, or anything like that. You need to save them. And the way you do that is to click on this button called Auto Load. This is the quick way to do it. This is the quick response column to the buttons just to get you through what you're doing. You can also go in this drop-down list to Auto Load and click the Manage button. Maybe in your Auto Load you don't want to save everything. Normally you would, but there may just be something you just don't want to save. And you can just uncheck these boxes. The ones that aren't checked, you don't have anything going on with them to save them. And then you would click this Get the Auto Load Desktop JS file. So if I click this button or this button, it's going to do the same thing. But this time, when I click here, I have the options to uncheck some of these boxes. So I'll click here. It's going to ask me who the author is. So it has my name in there already because of my personal settings. I will click OK. And then in the text area, it already has the text selected. This is the file that I need. I'm going to push Control X to cut it. And then I'm going to type in Notepad. I hit the Windows key, typed in Notepad, and I press Control V to paste it in here. Now when I go Control Home, I can scroll down a few lines. You can use any text editor, it doesn't really matter. You just have to be careful, like Microsoft Word or WordPad, they may save it as something that's not a JS file. I just select that line and press Control C, Control S to save it, and I can push Control V to paste it right into the dialog there, and then I could save it. I am not going to save this one, I'm just going to cancel it, but I'll show you when I click save, it's going to ask me if I want to overwrite, and I would say yes to overwrite the file, because that will update the file that I used to have, but I'm not going to say yes. So I'll just close this out and I won't save it. There's also another thing called desktop options. When you want to save something as a desktop, it's good to save it as an auto load first, then you can come back here and again save it as a desktop if you'd like to. When I'm looking in this drop down list, I can see a whole bunch of different desktops. You have 25 desktops that you can save it to. And when you save it as a desktop, you can actually email that file to somebody else who has Karl's Bible Power and share that desktop that you made with them. So maybe you have a little study going on, maybe you got a print screen up on the top. Maybe you could just save the desktop as a print screen, or you could even include your notes and stuff in there if you would like to. When you select the desktop, let's see, I'm going to select number 6. And number 6, when I scroll this mouse over these buttons, this tells me this is the search results. So in desktop 6, I have search results. I also have a save 1 list, a save 2 list, a save 3 list, and a save 4 list. Nothing else is checked, so none of these other things that I saved in that list. Let me scroll down to this one is for money versus on money. I don't have search results in that one, but I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. I have a clipboard and I have bookmarks. So I saved them for that one. Scroll down a couple more. Dinosaur study. This one here, I have clipboard, Bible reading settings, and user definitions, and a spell check user word list. That's what's in that one. And Monday night on Exodus, when we were studying Exodus, I saved it in here. And that one has search results. I have a save 2, 3, and 4, but not a 1. Recent searches, clipboard, Bible reading settings, user definitions, printed games. So a printed game, that could be just a search results list, it could be an editable list, or it could be a game that's printed. They all print to the same location on the screen. And then I have personal settings in there and a spell check user word list as well. Now, if I want to load this, I could load it here, but I'm actually in the mood to save stuff now because I'm closing the program. So I could save this. And now this is the stuff that's available. When I click save, that set the list, the number of the desktop. And now this here, I could decide whether I actually want to save all these things to this desktop or not. Right now, those things don't apply. I would just click this button if I wanted to. And here it is as a desktop. So I'll press Control X and I'll type in Notepad again. And I press Control V. Now, when I go up to the top of the page here, my path is different. You can see right over here, it says KBP Desktop 13. So that was the number that I had. And down here, it gives more information. and it's loading. Oh, close that. It's loading desktop 13. So that's a separate function for, so when I would click the load button, I'm not going to save it. So I'll come back here, and these are both right now disabled because I don't have anything in there. When I click the load button, it will load this into my program. Now, maybe I have some search results that I don't want to overwrite right now. I could uncheck this and it will load these, but not that. So I can choose with the desktop, I can choose what I actually want to load. The auto load is just going to load it when it starts. When you are working with desktops, maybe that would be the first thing you want to do is come down here to get your desktop that you were working with. A lot of times it's just in the auto load, but it could be in a desktop. It depends where you put it. When you're working with the auto load file, you just simply save it, and then the next time that you start up Karl's Bible Power, it will load everything automatically, and that's why it's called auto load. And now that you've watched this brief tutorial, perhaps you would like to download it. You can watch my next video as I show you how to download and install.